that, I built 2 six-figure consultancies. It goes through a constant cycle of we're so back to it's so over, right? On a daily basis sometimes.
If you can't sell, then you shouldn't become a founder, right?
What is the goal here? Are you looking to have a 100K a month company or $1 million a month company? Because those require different inputs from you.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nalikes Podcast. I'm Talha Asif, your host, and in each episode, we bring you insightful conversations with the founders and builders who are shaping the future of Web3. Our goal here is to educate and inspire founders in the Web3 space on how to build successful products. Make sure you watch till the end as you learn actionable and practical steps that you can apply to your own projects and startups today. Today's guest is Kai. Kai is the founder of Base Consulting. He's a good friend and a mentor from whom I have learned personally a lot. And he's one of the most skilled sales guy in Web3 that I know of. Thank you so much for coming on. Kai, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fantastic, man. Thanks for asking. It's a complete honor to be recognized as one of the better sales guys in the space. I think there's a long way to go, but your words mean a lot, man. It's great to be here. Great to be one of your kind of first guests on the show as well. So I'm very honored to make that with you.
Amazing. Yeah, so the whole reason I started this was that there wasn't a single resource for founders where they can go and learn about the things that they need to build a startup, because building a startup is hard and there are a lot of skills that founders don't have, and one of them being sales, because if you can't sell, then you shouldn't become a founder, right? So therefore, when I thought, okay, who is the best person who can talk about sales, it was you. So my focus today will be purely on extracting as much value and knowledge from you as possible and make an actionable steps for founders that are building their startups in the Web3 space. But before that, I want to learn more about your background. So if you can quickly share who is Kai, what he has done in the past, and what led you to get into Web3.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in the space more so in sales and marketing, direct response marketing for the last 4 years. Obviously read the Bitcoin white paper when I was a little bit younger, a couple of years ago, and instantly fell in love with the potential of what this could be, just like many others. Lost a lot of money during the market as well, during the ups and downs that we've had. But what has always kind of kept me within this space is the people. And I think that's what really makes this space special. You won't find this in a fintech or a medical tech or like in any kind of industry really, than Web3. So it's been a very eye-opening experience. I've helped a lot of big firms connect with bigger companies like Ubisoft, Fox, BitMEX, Magic Eden, and help them develop real relationships together and then work on projects together, selling very high ticket services, from development to marketing to sales. I've kind of helped all of these different companies grow and build solid relationships with these big firms, whether they are in Web3 or Web2. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to over the last 4 years. And on the back of that, I built 2 six-figure consultancies. One is Base Consulting, which is more of a done with you coaching one-on-one private consultation model. And then Scale Chain, which is more of a done for you. We just, you don't lift a finger. We do all of the processes for you to help you get clients. So that's basically what my key purpose is within this space, within Web2 as well, is to build client acquisition systems for people so they can work with their dream clients.
Okay, Kai, my question is, why sales? Because people choose to, so many different things. The reason I had to do sales was because I had no other option, right? When I was young, I was put in a position where I had to pay rent. So I was like, the fastest way to get money out of people is sell them something. So why sales? Why do you choose such a difficult job? People think becoming a developer or learning, some technical skill is difficult, but I think sales is much difficult. The pressure it has here on your reputation, your self-image, it's difficult. So why sales? Yeah. Why torture yourself?
I mean, everyone sees torture as, everyone's level of stress, resilience and is different from person to person, right? Some people are like, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to develop products, or build like software or tools and stuff like that. But I've always been very proficient in speaking and building meaningful connections with people. And that's really all sales is. It's just a conversation where you are having an experience with this individual who's currently going through a pain or some kind of challenge. And it's your job to help them bridge that gap and position your solution as the solution, right? The thing that you sell is the solution to all of their pains. And then you kind of paint that picture together to help them achieve that thing. And I've been in sales since I was like 18, 20, for a number of time. I'm not saying I'm the best sales consultant on the planet. There's way better people than me. But really, I dropped out of school. I didn't really have any qualifications to fall back on. And, I wasn't like a hyper intellectual like some of my other friends were, getting doctorates and stuff. I started selling gym memberships.
Like Alex Hormozy? So you're
Yeah,
on his
kind
path?
of. Yeah. I worked at Virgin Active, which is of course run by Richard Branson. And yeah, it just kind of kicked off from there really. And I just got into them recruitment as well. I was working for a cutting edge medical tech recruitment firm in London. And that was like Wolf of Wall Street, man, like on the phones, dialing people, getting told to F off and all this I've heard it all, right? But yeah, that was a really eye-opening experience. And that just, I noticed the gap in Web3. I noticed there's nobody doing this. Nobody's helping them get clients. Nobody's helping them position. Nobody's helping them sell. So I was like, this looks like a blue ocean. Let me go deeper. I already have a passion for Bitcoin and blockchain in general. I believe in the technology. Let me see what I can do for these guys. And then that's how my consultancies kind of started.
Amazing. Very interesting. So you read so what was that aha moment when you finally understood Bitcoin? Because one of the things that we talk about in this podcast is, because there are a lot of founders and a lot of smart people, talented people that are sitting on the sidelines. They don't really believe in this space. So before we go further in exploring your sales journey in Web3, can you tell us like what was that moment that gave you the conviction, okay, this is something I can bet on? Because there's so many other industries you could have picked on, right? But why Web3?
At first it was, I wanted to shed some light on a very shady industry. Let's be honest, right? There's many people out there who will happily take your money or drain your wallet. And I have a lot of people that have come to me and said those things, clients have said that and stuff like that. So the space is like the wild, wild west. I've been rugged many times, and I wanted to shed some light that sales solutions and marketing solutions are not just like cash grabs. They're actually real beneficial solutions to the market. And obviously I read the Bitcoin white paper, and I was like, when I first read it, I was inspired. I was like, I'm not too keen on the whole, I don't want to go too down the rabbit hole, but obviously the way current banking system is, it's all in debt, and Bitcoin provides us a safer, decentralized alternative that we are in control. And when the people are in control, that's very powerful. It can change lives. And obviously I wasn't getting in on Bitcoin when it was like pennies, right? I'm still heavily invested in Bitcoin, but the main thing is like the opportunities it can bring, the societies it can bring with that. And obviously we've seen that in South American countries as well, where they're just paying with Bitcoin or crypto in some form of capacity and not using traditional fiat currencies to purchase goods and services. And I think that's a better way, because you're in control. Governments don't have that as much access as they should to your funds. And decentralization is really, really what sells it for me. So I believe in a world where decentralization is the future and adoption will come. It's just a matter of time. But the more good deeds and more good things we can create in this space and more good work we can create, the better. We want to be on the good side, not the dark side, right?
Makes sense. All right. So that's the reason you chose this space. Then you saw that founders aren't doing sales the right way. It's a blue ocean. I can obviously, capture that opportunity, but at the same time solve a problem. And that's how you started, and you're doing that. So I want to get right into it. Before even talking about like what's a good sales strategy, let's start talking about what are people doing wrong. When you see founders, even when you met me, right, last year, there were so many things I was doing wrong. And so if you can talk about like few things that founders are doing wrong, so people that are watching are like, okay, this is something I am doing, and then give us like what does a good sales strategy look like for a Web3 startup? Either they're in the services business or they are selling a product, because one way or another they're selling something, right? Either they do it through their website, through a SaaS, or they book meeting and then sell it. So what are founders doing wrong when we look at from the angles of sales and Web3?
Okay, so a couple of common pitfalls that I see whenever I work with a new client or work with a new project. It goes along the lines of just relying on one channel for signing clients, and that could be referrals or network or going to events in person one-on-one. I mean, those things aren't really scalable, and it's actually a common problem across all founders. It's not necessarily Web3, but the most common one is those two, relying on referrals and thinking events are going to scale your business. I mean, yes, you can build meaningful relationships They may buy then, they might buy later based on your reputation and the experience they had with you. However, those things aren't scalable. You have to either be in person at the event or have your team at the event, which drains funds and expenses and all that kind of stuff. And the likelihood of you actually closing a deal there and then or making something happen is very slim, because everyone's out there trying to do the same thing and everyone's got the same solution and everyone sounds the same. And then second one is the referrals and network, right? That pool will dry up at some point. You're not going to be referred people all the time. My best solution actually right now, I used to be heavily into cold is the only way you can scale. Cold email, cold DM, cold calling is the only way you can scale. Now the landscape has changed where you need to build a personal brand. I would suggest doxing, much like yourself, Talha. You and the team are doxed, I'm doxed, right? Those guys actually see a better close rate or more business, more revenue generated when you're doxed. You provide a legitimate solution that solves a legitimate need, and people are actively paying for that solution. So undox yourself and show your face, show that you're human and you're here to help the market solve their problems, and you will be fine. And then obviously you can tie that personal brand, the cold outreach, because think of it this way. Let's look at Elon, for example, right? If we look at Musk and what he's done at Tesla, if Elon now messaged me saying, hey, Kai, do you want to try out and test the new Cybertruck? And I'd be like, yeah, okay, let's go, right? But if Joe blogs from down the street who's just selling cars in his like dingy little sales room, I don't know Joe, he has got no personal brand, and he emailed me saying, I've got the new Ferrari in, do you want to come test drive? I'm like, who's this guy? I'm going to go with Elon because I know him, I trust him, I see him everywhere, and I want to get in a Cybertruck. But you get the idea, right? So the guy with the personal brand is going to stand out far more, and those things will only amplify your cold outreach or your acquisition systems in any capacity.
Got it. So to summarize, you're saying that the most common problem or pitfall is that people rely on referrals and networking. Referrals are good. I mean, that's how I personally scale as well, but they'll dry out. And then events, they're costly and everyone is doing the same thing. So the solution to that you're suggesting is cold outreach and personal brand. So if you do cold outreach without a personal brand, that might not be effective, but if you do them together, that can be effective. So let's break it down further for the founders that are hearing this word for the first time. And so, trust me, there are people who don't know what is cold outreach. Can you break it down? Like what is cold outreach, and how can founders use cold outreach to get their next customer? For example, if someone is building a product or running an agency in the Web3 space,
sure. So
give them break it down, like make it actionable for them.
Make it make sense. Okay, cool. So basically the way I did it, and I've scaled multiple products and multiple businesses with this model specifically, and I see a lot of people in Web3 blockchain do this, is another pitfall, right? Is having this mindset that build it and they will come, right? Without doing any market research, without even tapping the market, right? I know you know what I'm talking about. But mainly the point is, get out your idea, validate it first in the market, speak to 100 people that could potentially be your ideal client, put it on a Google Doc, don't build anything yet. Get them interested, see if this would be a solution they'd like to have and buy, get feedback on it, iterate that, and then repitch it to the people you just spoke to in a couple of weeks' time, right? Because now you've got interested people that you know they're in pain. You can map out the solution for them based on the feedback you've got from them directly, whether that you get them on a call for an insight exchange where you just talk ideas and what they're going through in their day-to-day and what challenges they're facing. Or, and then, like I said, map out the offer, how that could help them, and then repitch it back to them. And then use that initial cash that you charge them to then build your product or service or agency or, stuff on the back end. Don't build anything until you know exactly people are going to buy it, right? It's like building like a sand cast, like having a shop that sells sand, and you base your shop in the Sahara Desert. Like, I can get sand out here, bro. What I would buy is water, but you don't have water, you have sand. So if you build it, flip the narrative, and I call it the crowdfund model, and I've been very successful with that. I base all my clients' ideas and testing and thesis just on that now. So I get them to test their offer first, validate the solution, get paid for that solution, then build, and then scale, and then collect your testimonials, case studies, and scale even further.
Very interesting. So you're saying if we were to make it actionable, get your idea, write down a paper, get in front of as many people as you can. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
stop here. How do you get in front of as many people as you can? Because people don't know that they can do it, right? So
cool.
talk more about that. Let's say if we
Sure,
were to
sure.
use Twitter, for example, because that's where most of the Web3 people are, how
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can reach, do mass outreach.
Yeah. So to be honest, with this initial test phase, I would manually send DMs or have like an assistant or appointment setter send the DMs for you. Simply, hey, notice we're in the same space, or notice you follow this person. We have some mutuals. I'd love to connect. I'm curious. I'm working on this solution. Not sure if this is something you're interested in, but this could be something useful to you. I ask for 5 minutes of your time. We can exchange some insights, and at the end of it, I'll give you a full strategy that you can deploy absolutely free. Does that sound cool? You may get some no's, you may get some F-offs, you may get some no thank you, not interested, you may get some blocks, but do you want to be successful and do you want to make money with your business, or do you just want to sit there never talking to anyone? So choose which difficulty you want, because it's going to be much harder to build and scale a business without any validation than it is to actually get in the mud, get in the trenches and talk to people. So for every 10 DMs or 20 DMs you send with this, you should get at least 1 to 2, 3, maybe responses. Get on those calls, book at least 20 insight calls, right? Record every single call, take the data and analyze what everyone is saying verbatim. Use that data in your marketing, in your offer, and then resell that offer that you've just built back to them. That's your first, like, you're basically crowdfunding it. You're seeding your own idea with the money that you're getting from these clients. And then obviously deliver fantastic results and document it all. But yeah, then I can go deeper, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think that is good enough for the people who want to take action, because for the people who want everything served on a plate, I don't want to address them, because I personally don't like, because again, see, some people are naturally unfortunate, right? They are in a position where they don't have the access to it. But some people who are privileged but still decide to not take action, I kind of get triggered by them. But anyways, so one thing I see here, that the founders, right, again, because I'm talking to the people who would benefit from this.
Sure.
Sometimes they're so much technical, right? But they are so afraid to get on a call. They are so afraid to open their camera. They're so afraid to put their ideas into the world. Now, it personally was a challenge for me as well, but the only way I overcome was just putting myself out there. After doing 10, 20, 30 calls, now this feels like play to me. So
yeah.
What's your advice on that? How can they get out of that fear?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, I'm not sure if you noticed, but naturally I'm introverted. I'm quite a quiet guy. I don't like talking. I don't like speaking to other human beings if I don't have to. So for me, it was a challenge as well. And I realized, like, if I want to stay this person, like, just think about who you want to be, right? And what does that amazing person who's successful, has everything he wants, has a $1 million business, multi-million-dollar business, equity, all that kind of stuff, the house, the car, the family, whatever your goal is with your business, think about what that person does to get there, right? Or what that person has to become to get there. I can't stay in this current state I'm in if I want to get there. The gap is me getting out there, talking to people, going on YouTube, talking to everyone I can about my offer, and putting it in front of much people as possible so that I can help them achieve fantastic results. Because if you actually believe in yourself and believe in the thing that you want to achieve and believe that your service is actually going to help people, then you are doing yourself an injustice, a disservice by not showing it to people, and you're letting yourself down. So get out there. There is no excuse. Like, we're in an attention economy. If you don't have attention, you are going to be poor. Like, it's simple.
Yeah. So I think it boils down to burning desire, right? Just like you said, if I read this book called Think and Grow Rich, and there was this one whole paragraph chapter on burning desire. If you don't have a burning desire for anything, you won't get there. Cool. So going back to this one, right? So you come up with an idea, document it, put it in front of people. Initially do it manually by reaching out on Twitter, LinkedIn, or however you can. Let's say you're able to validate your offer. Cool, which means someone is willing to pay for you. And because again, once someone pays for you, you deliver it. And again, that comes with skill, or with the experience that you have. Now, there are many people who are in this stage, right? How do they scale it from there? How they can leverage all these email marketing, the one that you are skilled at, how they can use Twitter DMs. So can you talk more about that? How did they go from 1 to 10 customers?
Yeah, so the best, at least in my opinion, the best way to leverage your business and scale to the next stage, say you're at like 50K a month and you want to get to 100K a month, there's probably like one or two levers that you need to pull. Is you need to go back to speak to all your clients, get them on an interview, and get them to tell you exactly how much you've helped them, what kind of results you've got for them, put it everywhere on YouTube, and start creating sales assets for your business. My YouTube covers all of that. It's youtube.com/Kai_Cabero, and you can go there.
I'll put in the description.
Drop that in. But I literally just created a video on just that. So you need to start building sales assets and value propositions. And what I mean by that is things like client interviews, case studies, and then just show that to more people. Okay, show that to your ideal clients, and you will scale further. Word of mouth travels so well as well. But for example, I had a very cool project reach out to me through one of my YouTube videos. He booked in a call, saw one of my YouTube videos on a client result or interview that I did, booked in the call, and he closed there and then on the spot because he knew me. He felt like he knew me. He liked me. He trusted me. He sees I can do this stuff, and I've proved my competence already. I've just brought down his trust barrier so low that we're just like talking as buddies, like we've known each other. It was really, really cool experience. And I didn't really understand the power of scaling YouTube and, getting your face out there more than that conversation I had with him. And he was a heavily backed blockchain startup, right? Heavily backed. So it was a great experience, and he paid like 5 figures plus on the spot. That's the power of starting your personal brand and building your assets online.
Got it. So if you, the takeaway is that if you have had success or if you have delivered a result to someone, just get their testimonials, get the social proof, and just put it out there as much as you can.
Correct. Yeah.
Let's make it more actionable. So let's take me for an example, right? We build products for people. Now, what can I do step by step? I mean, I'm already doing a bunch of stuff, but if you can share more insight on how we can do it. So what
for sure. What will I do
next?
Yeah. So looking at Nalikes, like you've cracked where you are right now. You've come very far in a short space of time. You're great on camera. I know you do your shorts and your reels and like that kind of stuff. I would say the best way for you to now scale is start YouTube, right? YouTube is severely untapped for Web3, at least in my opinion. There's nobody doing it. And what I would do is break down how your service helps. It should be 50% technical breakdown videos, 25% client interviews, and 25% like personal stuff, right? Those are your content breakdowns. The technical stuff could be frameworks, blueprints, strategies, ideas, like just talk about the problems you solve and who you've solved them for and what results you've delivered, how to build product teams, how to create a product that has evergreen value in the market trends. Like just be the guy, be him, there's nobody on the planet. Actually, Talha, this is direct to you, bro. Like no one is doing that. Nobody's doing that. So you do it and it can have exponential growth.
Yeah, I'm already doing it. I haven't posted the video, so it's coming up. Because
let's do it.
I have a friend of mine, Leon Abud. I'm not sure if you know him. And he talks about Web3 marketing. And he started way back putting marketing content out there. And at that time, I spoke with him, but he was like, I'm in it for the long run. So if you just search for Leon Abud, and now when actually it takes time, right? Because it will take a few months to get out there. But once it happens, it's like a continuous leads in. Amazing. So that's very interesting. Cool. So let's say they're able to get people on call. I want to talk about, so you mentioned one strategy, which was getting on YouTube, building a personal brand. But let's talk about cold outreach, right? Because that helps. Sure. We can't deny that. So can you talk more about that? What can founders do to get to, let's say if they're selling a service where it's important for a meeting, or if they're selling a product where they can just redirect them to a link or something. So how they can start with cold outreach?
First of all, you have to think about why you want to use cold, right? Because it's tough. It's not the easy option, I would start with cold email. It's very simple. I actually put together another whole video of this on my YouTube where I've helped people work with, billion-dollar companies. But mainly it's you need the data. You need to know who you're targeting, what they're buying, and what offer you have. And then it does get a bit technical. I could be here all day talking about it, but the main channels that I would use personally for this is actually Telegram. I would use Telegram DMs. You can automate Telegram DMs. You can do that at scale, and XDMs, because cold email, who's using that really in Web3 these days? I mean, we are, but not really. But they're also very untapped as well, because not a lot of Web3 guys are getting targeted in this space. So test everything is my best suggestion. If you have a product that's helped a bunch of people, show that to more potential people who are similar. For example, if you want to get similar lookalike companies, you can use tools like ocean.io, which uses lookalike. You just type in the domain of your client that you've helped, and it will refer you a load of lookalike companies. You get that data, putting it into a sending tool like Smart Lead, and then you start building cold email campaigns based on that type of company you've helped. You can also do that on Telegram. You can build out lookalike audiences. Discord, you can build out lookalike audiences. You can do a lot of crazy stuff with the automations in place these days. A real good tool that I found is edgein.io. Now, I'm not actually affiliated with any of these, but edgein is a great tool. It's updated with a focus on Web3 and blockchain companies only. And I've seen some really good results just scraping that entire database. That's one of my gatekeep secrets, but you guys can have that one.
Very amazing. There's this new tool out there that I am hearing about a lot. It's called Clay. Have you heard about that tool?
Click?
Clay, CLAY, Clay.
Oh, Clay. Yeah. Clay is great. Clay can get hyper specific and targeted. I actually use it in conjunction with ocean.io. Again, not affiliated with any of these, but yeah, Clay is effective. But I feel like you can get lost in automations. You can get lost in systems and processes when really all people want to buy is an outcome. If you don't have an outcome they want to buy, all of the tools and all the fancy stuff is not going to help you. Stick to the basics. Get in front of people that want to buy what you have to sell, and you will be successful.
God, I literally have so many questions here, but again, I want to stick to time. Cool. So we talked about how you can go from 0 to 1. We also talk about how you can go 1 to 10, 1 to 10 or 1 to 100 by leveraging these cold outreach and getting out there. Let's say if we are in front of our customers who needs our service, but they object, right? I don't want to buy this. You're too expensive and all these kind of things. How do you overcome objections? I mean, what's your framework for overcoming?
Yeah. So personally, I anticipate objections, right? So I make sure on the front end that they know it really depends, like it's specific. So objections can be, price objection. You can have a, speak to my partner objection. Usually most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, these are smoke screens for something deeper. If they need to speak to their partner, that means you're not speaking to the guy that holds the purse strings, at least in this situation. If you have a price objection, it could be something a little bit more deeper than that. But it really depends on the current person you're speaking to. But just anticipate objections, and they are going to come up regardless. It could be a section of they just don't have the funds right now. They've been hit by this. Their wallet's been drained. There's so many different factors in Web3 specifically. But handling objections is just anticipate them and just have as many sales calls as possible so you can kind of counter those. But without like a specific use, it's difficult to say. But usually one I like to say is like, for example, if I could wave a magic wand and this whole solution, price was on point, deliverables was on point, all of this was on point, what would that specifically look like for you? And you can kind of go from there. Just have a conversation about it. It's like, look, John, that sounds like a no to me in my world, or maybe sounds like a no to me in my world. Could that be the case here? And just kind of talk to the guy about it. Like, he may be scared. He may not want to invest with this guy he's just met 45 minutes ago. But yeah, just keep it conversational. There's no real right or wrong answer here. It's just about being human and understanding that he's going through some stuff, you're going through some stuff. But what counters the objection, at least in my opinion, is having a very good discovery call, right? Asking him qualifying questions, because if he has the right budget, he's going to buy this, he has the revenue size, your research on the prospect during the discovery call is what deters all objections, at least in my opinion, right? You may still get some, but at the end of the day, if you haven't done your research and discovery on the person, then you have no business being on the call with them. I only hop onto people that I know I'm going to close. I don't even take sales calls anymore as much. I know I just hopped off one, but I knew it's closed, right?
No, but I think when you're getting started, it's good to do the call because that's how you become good at it. But
For
now,
sure.
I've learned some things as you as well. So when say if I get a lead, I just pick up their Telegram or X and I start talking to them question, and I'm able to evaluate if this is someone I want to work with. Because what happens most of the time, people are just there for free knowledge. It's good, but you can't give your time to everyone.
Yeah. There is a lot of information pumpers out there that will just sit on the call with you and ask you stuff all day. That's why I create YouTube videos, right? That's why I create content. Go check that, bro. And then if it makes sense, come talk to me and we can discuss how a solution would suit you and how much the deliverables, costs, and all that kind of stuff would look like in the outcome. So, for example, you could start a call with, hey, good to connect. Tell me like what's going on with your company right now, and then kind of ask them about the challenges they're facing on a daily basis. Like, what are you going through? Why is this important to fixing it right now? Where do you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months? What results are you looking for exactly? What are you currently doing to get there? What's stopping you from getting there? Okay, so you want to do this. Why haven't you done it yet? Ask these probing questions. Oh, we got burned by someone else, or the market wasn't right. I was like, the market's never going to be right. Like, you can go deeper. A lot of the time it's very emotional and people are just scared of taking action in most cases. Sometimes I'll have people that just get on the call, they see me and be like, you're the guy. It's like, let's do it. Okay, cool, great. I've had sales calls where I've just gone very casual and be like, so this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is who we've helped. Do you want to do it? And they're like, yeah, okay. It's that simple. And then you've got other guys that are just like, oh, the price, I need to speak to my partner. I'm like, that's cool. Okay. What is there anything specific we missed here? Did we not cover this already? What's kind of holding you back here? I can see some hesitation. Like, just talk to me,
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So we covered objections. How do we handle rejection? Because one thing I have learned is that be willing to walk away from a deal, but that's not helpful in the early days because you need cash to survive. So
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on experience and thoughts on rejection? Let's say if you've done everything right and still the client says, I don't want to work with you.
I wouldn't take it personally. It's part of the game and it's a badge of honor to be rejected. You're lucky you're able to even have these opportunities in the first place. I'm not saying that you're lucky that the client is getting on the call with you, but you should consider yourself, you should be happy with yourself that you even got that far because it's all a learning curve. This is not a negative experience, it's a positive experience. And make sure you're recording the calls so that you can send them to me and I can review them for you. But the main thing is like, take everything with a grain of salt. Don't beat yourself up about objections or people rejecting you. Like, just smile through it. The greatest, best salespeople will tell you in the market, like, a good salesperson or someone good at what they do will take they get beaten down as much as possible and still stand up with a smile on their face and wake up the next morning and do it all over again because they are driven by their goal. That's that simple.
Got it. It has a lot to do with mindset, and most of the founders that I come across and I work with, they're just not built right. So how should a mindset of a founder be? Because this is something that it's a very big question. But what are some advice on a founder, especially in the Web3 space where the market is so volatile? So they have so many things to take care of.
Oh, it goes through a constant cycle of we're so back to it's so over, right? On a daily basis sometimes. So we could be affected by the news, we could be affected by the market, we could be affected by manipulation. There's so many different things that could happen, right? External factors, but I guess you have to have thick skin. Like, not everyone's built for this, right? And you really have to sit down and ask yourself, like, what is it I want to achieve here? Am I capable of achieving this? And just, you have to block out so many things. I can't begin to tell you, like, obviously the journey is fun. Being a founder is fun, but in the beginning stages, like late nights, early mornings, we've all been there. We've all burned the candle at both ends. And that's what it kind of takes. I can sit here all day and tell you about everything I've sacrificed, right? 18-hour, 20-hour days are not common, are common for me, right? But that's not everyone's journey. People may want to work a couple of hours a day and then, go home happy. Then go and work a 9 to 5. Do you know what I mean? Like, how much pain can you take and then go further? There's no real right or wrong answer here. Do you feel like you can do it or not? Because if you can't feel like you can't, then you can't. It's very simple. I don't really have I don't understand those types. I do and I don't. because those that can, they go very, very far and they know exactly what it takes to succeed. But I think you also have to surround yourself by winners, by people that are naturally drawn to success, right? You can't be hanging around with losers. You need to be hanging around with winners. If your circle is like a bunch of losers, ditch those guys, ditch those people. They're not going to take you anywhere. Surround yourself with winners. Talk to everyone in the room, network and speak with everyone.
How do you do that? I mean, this is something I've gone through personally as well, because being an immigrant kid, I went to a school that, immigrant parents could afford, right? So you wouldn't find high achievers or smart people or people of that. So I personally had to let go of a lot of friends that I spent like 6-7 years of my life. And then I was fortunate to meet, my co-founders. And again, that has had a really good effect, because you're interacting with these people daily, and their thought process and their thinking, that affects you. So how can people do that? I mean, it sounds simple, right? Just let go of your friends. But how do you do that? If you like, then we become so lonely and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's very subjective as well. But what's your thought on that? Because that's very important. Yeah,
for sure. You and I have a similar kind of story in that case. Then I went to a public school where it wasn't very good. I left with no grades. I was surrounding myself with bad things, substances, and all those things that you shouldn't do for a lot. I wasted a lot of time basically surrounded by idiots and losers that had no ideals for themselves that they wanted to achieve. And then I started realizing that my health was deteriorating, my mindset was deteriorating, and also my wallet was deteriorating. My cash reserves were low. And I'm like, what the fuck? How am I going to get out of the situation? And then again, stumbled across blockchain, stumbled across marketing and sales, and I was already in recruitment and stuff. I could see the things, but I was just held back by all these things that dragged me down, like the substances and the negative people and all this bullshit. I could have been, I'm worth something greater. I could do great things, right? And I had to let go of those things I had to keep rebuilding and reigniting myself and becoming the person I was meant to be. But again, like, it's a self-realization thing, whether it happens today for you or in the next year. It has to happen at some point. And if it doesn't happen, then you're going to be in the same place. Just ask yourself who you want to be. I always say to myself, what will be written on your tombstone, right? Because we're all heading there. Like, it's all going to happen, right? That's the only thing that's valid. That's the only thing that will happen to you, is you will die. So what do you want to be remembered for? Do you want to be remembered the guy that didn't do nothing and didn't try? Or do you want to be the guy that tried? Because in most cases, it's even glorious to attempt, right? And even if you fail, it doesn't matter. You did that. You went out there and you did it despite everything else. But yeah, we can go deeper on that. I have a lot of philosophy and mindset on that stuff. It goes deep. That's probably the deepest one we can go down. But
definitely. But I think the takeaway for people that are watching that might be in a similar situation is that cut it off. Just take the pill, cut the switch, and then start improving. Because what I've learned is that you don't need, because again, why we have friends, right? If we ask that, we need validation. One thing is that, right? We need people to validate us. But once you start changing, you'll attract the right people. That's what I have learned.
100%.
So yeah. Amazing, cool. So Kai, one of my question is that okay, so we covered 0 to 1, we covered 1 to 10, we covered how they can do it, we covered objection and rejections, we covered mindset. Now the next thing is that, should the founders keep doing the sales themselves? Because from what I've learned initially, yes, from day one you have to do it, but you get to a stage where, okay, you have to, get more people in, or get external contractors in, or agencies such as yourself. So what's the framework founders should use? Till what stage they should keep doing the sales themselves, and then at what stage they should either hire in-house, or they should get an external contractor and agency, and what to look for, right? Because in the Web3 space, there can be so many people who just aren't that good fit. So what's the framework for that?
Sure. I mean, first of all, let's tackle the amount, or I said lack of talent in the Web3 pool for sales and marketing people, especially sales. Like there's very limited pool, right, of resources. So most founders they have to either seek sales from external industries that don't necessarily fit Web3 or understand the tech or whatever. But yeah, I mean, depends how far you want to go. Like, what is the goal here? Are you looking to have a 100K a month company or $1 million a month company? Because those require different inputs from you. Founders, I believe, in my opinion, personally, it's all about recruitment of talent. You actually turn into a recruiter more than you are a founder. So employing top tier talent to then fill the gaps where you no longer fit or like can fill, right? Because at one stage your mind is going to be on solving problems day to day. How can we deliver the best results for clients? How can we do this and how can we do that? And how can we push the needle forward? Saying that again, founder-led sales is very, very powerful. I would not outsource it. I would hold on to it for as long as you can until it's just becoming too much. Most people in any case do not need to worry about this because they're barely getting 10 calls a week, 5 calls a week anyway. So you might as well just sit the calls and, build a sales process built on that, because you should be recording the calls and then using them as training material for people when you want to hire them, build them in, and building SOPs and stuff. But to summarize, if you are trying to work yourself out of the sales calls, you may be leaving a lot of money on the table because people want to see you, the founder. They want to connect with you and engage with you because you should obviously be building your personal brand. Nobody wants to have a DM from your personal brand saying, hey, we should do this together. I've got this solution. And then they're speaking to some other random guy on the back end. It doesn't make sense. But if you're under like 600K, million a month, then you should probably still take the sales calls.
Makes sense. And then what is the point where you decide I need to get someone else on board? It's subjective. It depends on the goal, or there's a framework for that as well.
It really depends. Like, it depends. It's so many factors. Like I said, I think it's a revenue size. Like, how big do you want to grow as a company? Do the pricing economics make sense? Are you in a position to outsource effectively, or you just want to outsource because you hate sales calls? If you hate sales calls, then I don't know what you're doing. If you hate talking to people about your product and helping them learn and use it and adopt it, then you should probably consider another role. Maybe your skills are better suited for this, and you should find someone who can take the calls. But to remove yourself completely, I'm not sure that's the right move, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I think it depends on the individual's goals, what their strengths are, because sales is a skill and you must sharpen it every day. But saying that, if you do not know how to get on a sales call or run a sales call effectively and efficiently, whether it ends in a close or not, you have no business training a sales team. How are you then going to help coach and know what's the right sales call for the person you're bringing on? How are you going to know they're running effectively? How are you going to know the closing margins make sense and the pricing economics make sense? There's so many factors, but yeah, I don't think you should remove until you know exactly what you're doing and then delegate.
Got it. Kai, just so the thing that we have speaking about in the past 40 minutes, just so they make sense to the people that are watching.
Yeah,
Can
sure.
you share one personal client success story? Like, take the way, just walk us through from the moment they came to you and the moment they got the results, like, so people can know this works. Because the thing is, I wrote an article a few days back on how I made over 100K just from Twitter, right? And I did the same thing that you taught me, and I just slightly improved it. And I write like 20 minutes of article. The thing is, people did not believe it, that this is even possible. So we have that problem as well. So if you can go through like one of the case study at a very high level, what kind of results did you achieve? So, so people know it's possible, and then they can learn from that.
Yeah. Okay. So there's been plenty. I've helped, from beginners to successfully already established agencies and firms inside Web3.
Let's talk about the ones that
high
meet
level?
the deal in mill. Yeah,
the big dogs. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so one most notably was GBM, which is a NFT auction mechanism company. They basically worked with worked with Polygon and worked with Avagotchi on many drops. They've generated, north of millions of dollars in revenue for their clients, and they were really struggling with getting qualified people on the calendar, right, to have calls with. And they tried and exhausted every solution they could probably think of, which was them trying to do it themselves manually, them sending generic connection requests like nice to meet you, and just the typical kind of founder-led stuff, let's hop on a call and explore synergies and all that kind of stuff, right? Anyway, fast forward, this was at the beginning of my career, and I'll get to a most recent one in a minute, but basically they didn't have any systems in place. They were doing all of this work manually, and they weren't just getting any traction with it because they didn't have an offer in place. They didn't know how to position themselves in the market. They just didn't know how to build these systems that enable you to get in front of your ideal clients. So fast forward to us working together, and it was one of first Web3 projects I actually worked with, they had a fantastic offer, fantastic use case studies, everything was perfect. They still couldn't get results. And I really just nailed it down to the fact that they weren't even mentioning from the get-go to a complete stranger with cold that they actually could get these results. It was all like, let's get on a call. Like, for what? So the thesis was, why are we pitching the call when we should be pitching, why are we pitching the service when we should be pitching the opportunity to get on a call or share some information or a case study or something first, build the trust, build the reputation, and then ask for the call. You give a small value, then a small ask, right? And just stack those little things until you get to where you want to get to. Now, fast forward, we started working together for our first 3 months, and the first quarter went by. They had only, before working with me, they were sitting at like 0 to 3 meetings per week for like the longest time, right? And our first quarter get together, we booked 100 calls, right? With companies like Binance, Fox Network, Magic Eden, BitMEX, like really, really heavy billion-dollar firms, and some smaller companies as well. Ava Labs, GameStarter, Polygon, Solana, like all of these top projects they wanted to get inside their ecosystems and pitch their auction mechanism to. The gods, like all of the top ones. And it was just super untapped. Like, the way I didn't do anything different than what I'd already been learning and discovering for myself, but just because it was in Web3 where these solutions are actually not used, people get an email from someone or a DM from someone with this type of positioning, with the offer up front and maybe a case study or a testimonial, and it just goes a long way. So we had really good success. We worked together for like a year and a half, and it was a fantastic experience. And then I started building a use case on this. And then I started helping more people. I got the attention of an ex-Coinbase founder who had a on-off ramping system project. And he went from 0 calls a month for the longest time to like 22 calls in 9 days. Wow. That was a great experience. He closed like 12 of them, 13 of them. Luna Strategy, I worked with their firm for 30 days or so, 33 days. We were just testing out some stuff. Didn't take it that seriously. And they ended up booking 33 calls and closing a deal with BitMEX, which was great for them. Fantastic. And then I've just helped loads of beginners inside Web3. So there's a lot of content creators and ghostwriters and marketing people in there as well.
So if we were to break it down, why did it work? I think if my 2 cents would be, they had something that the market needed. Like they had an offer or the product that needed. So I think that is the first step before you even start looking for cold outreach, right? Then they knew exactly who they were selling to, like the ICP, right? And then they knew they had the case studies. All they were missing is the secret sauce, right? Which was the cold outreach. And then and you got them on calls, and then obviously they had doing so. From this, I can gather that sometimes there's just like 1 or 2 pieces missing from the sales process that an external person or someone can tweak, and then that would completely change your business. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's not really many levers that you need to pull. It's just knowing what levers to pull and when to pull them. There's no real secret, really. It's like you may need 2 or 3 things, you may need 5 or 6 things, but once they're implemented, you will see results. Because at the end of the day, it's all direct response marketing. It's all sales. It's all direct response. Making someone on the other end do something. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to look at a case study? Do you want them to ask more information? Do you want them to book a call? What action do you want them to take? And how do we get them to take the action? And what pains and challenges will appeal to them in that moment? And the only way to do that, to know what that is by speaking to them first, doing the research required first. So research is heavily the backbone of all of this stuff.
Makes sense. Do you want to talk about the most recent one you mentioned?
Yeah, so like I said, Base Consulting is more of the coaching program that works one-on-one privately with these guys on a consulting basis. So I don't build these systems anymore for people. I coach them on how to build them themselves, build a personal brand and all that kind of stuff. For example, I helped a complete beginner. Now he was writing an article for Porsche and working with Berachain and all these kind of guys. He went from 0 to $10,000 a month and just and signed 6 clients in like 23 days. We had another guy who worked with Gods Unchained go from 15K to 50K a month in 3 months. And it was just me coaching them through this entire process, reviewing their sales calls, working with them very closely to achieve this stuff.
Can you unpack what does what's included in this consulting thing that you do at a high level?
Yeah. So, I mean, we basically just, but basically I just take all the stuff that I've helped to help my clients scale, and then we help them install all these systems in their businesses. Basically just help them get traffic to their offer, because that's all it is at the end of the day. I mentioned direct response, I mentioned cold outreach and all this stuff. All of that doesn't matter. If you don't have traffic, if you don't have people coming to your offer, people interested in your offer, you going out to the market or coming in, there's 3 ways you can drive traffic, probably 4 ways you can drive traffic: paid ads, content marketing / inbound, and cold outreach, right? Those are the 3 ways you can drive traffic. So how do we work those things? We need to build the systems that can do those things, build the offer, build the ICP, solve the pain, build the case studies, show that to more people, bring the people, close a deal, get them results, and repeat. Like, it's very, very, very simple. There's no real high level of it. But essentially I help people do that because not a lot of people know how to solve those problems. And I've done that for a lot of people now.
Got it. So the founders that are watching and interesting, what should they do next after watching this podcast?
Well, what they can do is, if they're interested in learning how this stuff works, like I said, if you want to just, check out what I've been working on, you can head straight over to my YouTube. That's youtube.com at /Kai_Cabero, and you can check out all of my videos there. Or you can DM me straight away on X. It's at based start. And we can go from there. But yeah, if you found any of this interesting or resonating, feel free to hit me up.
Amazing. Yeah, so I'll add these links into the description. I mean, this was very this is a problem that exists. Many people are even aware of, because people the founders that I work with, right? They think that their ideas are not good enough, right? So they keep improving their idea. Like, I'm talking specifically about products. Then they are a service-based business who just keep refining and defining their offer. But the key piece is that they're not reaching out, or they're not getting people to reach out to them, right? So these are 2 things that you covered. One is that by either going out to them via cold outreach, or second is by either building your brand and getting them in front of you. I think there's a lot of value in this 15-minute podcast. Before we wrap up, what's your one piece of advice for founders in terms of sales for their startup, either agency owners or product owners? Like, one piece of advice that can help them.
Is the one piece of advice, the best I can do is speak from my experience, is like the one piece of advice that I would have liked, and what a lot of my clients would have liked, is doing the research on exactly who you help, knowing what their threat level 1 problem is, the one thing that keeps them up at night, the one thing that gives them heartburn, that gives them that acid reflux. They can't sleep at night because this one thing is killing them inside. You find that, and you will have the most successful business, period. Like, there's no, literally, that's all you need. So find the pain, build a solution, market that solution, get them on calls, close the deals, scale.
Amazing. All right, I think with that we can wrap up the episode. Thank you so much, Kai, for coming on. I really found this insightful, and I'm going to apply some things today itself. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next episode.
See you then. Cheers. Thanks for having me.